Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. Before we dive into this intense and gripping story, please be aware, this is based on a true event that occurred in 2001, involving a terrifying shark encounter and a life-or-death rescue. The story contains elements of danger, injury, and survival that may not be suitable for younger audiences. If you're under the age of 18, we advise you to watch with caution or alongside a parent or guardian. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. A battle for survival and a race against time. It was a bright, scorching day in July 2001 when the Ferguson family decided to enjoy a peaceful afternoon at the Gulf of Mexico near Pensacola, Florida. Jesse, an 8-year-old boy with an infectious energy, was eager to jump into the water. His uncle, Frank Ferguson, an experienced fisherman and a strong swimmer, was keeping a watchful eye on him, ensuring that the day would be filled with nothing but laughter and joy. But that summer day would soon turn into a nightmare they would never forget. Jesse had only been in the water for a few minutes when the unimaginable happened. Out of nowhere, a massive bull shark, nearly 7 feet long, charged through the shallow waters, jaws wide open. In an instant, the beast clamped down on Jesse's right arm. The boy let out a blood-curdling scream that echoed across the beach, freezing everyone in their tracks. Frank, who was only a few feet away from Jesse, turned toward the sound. His heart stopped as he saw the thrashing water and the dorsal fin slicing through the waves. Without hesitation, driven by pure instinct and adrenaline, Frank dived into the water, desperate to save his nephew. The water around them turned red, and Jesse's cries for help became fainter as shock and terror took over his small body. Frank reached him, grabbing the boy's other arm, and pulled with all his strength, feeling the resistance of the shark's powerful jaws. For a moment, it felt like a tug of war, man against beast. Frank knew he had only seconds to act. With a ferocious yank, Frank managed to pull Jesse free from the shark's grasp. But in that brief, horrifying moment, he saw something that made his stomach drop. Jesse's right arm was gone, severed just below the shoulder. Blood poured from the wound, and Frank knew that time was their enemy. Panic surged through his veins, but there was no time to succumb to it. With Jesse cradled in one arm, Frank swam frantically back to shore, his mind racing with terror. People were screaming, running towards them, but all Frank could think about was how to save his nephew's life. He ripped off his own shirt and tied it tightly around Jesse's shoulder, attempting to stop the bleeding. As a crowd gathered, someone shouted that they needed to retrieve the boy's arm. It was a wild suggestion, but in that moment of chaos and desperation, it made sense. If they could recover the arm quickly, there might be a chance to reattach it. Frank's eyes darted back to the water where the shark still circled, the water stained with Jesse's blood. Without hesitation, and with the fierce determination of a man who had nothing to lose, Frank charged back into the water. His body trembled with fear, but he pushed it aside, focusing on one thing: retrieving Jesse's arm. He could feel the shark's presence beneath the surface, its dark shape cutting through the water like a silent predator. His breath came in ragged gasps as he swam closer, scanning the water frantically. And then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw it. The severed arm, just floating there, bloody, lifeless, but still intact. But the shark wasn't done yet. As Frank approached the arm, the massive creature lunged at him, its teeth flashing in the sun. Frank's heart pounded as he dodged the attack, his body moving on instinct. He dove under the water, reaching out, his hand brushing against the arm. The shark whipped around, its jaws snapping just inches from Frank's leg. In a heart-stopping moment of sheer willpower, Frank grabbed the arm and swam as fast as he could, the shark hot on his heels. The creature brushed against his legs, its rough skin tearing at his flesh, but Frank didn't care. The only thing that mattered was getting back to shore. When Frank finally broke the surface, gasping for air, he felt an overwhelming sense of triumph. He had the arm. But there was no time to celebrate. The beachgoers pulled him out of the water, and together they raced to the parking lot where paramedics had just arrived. Frank, shaking and drenched in sweat, handed over Jesse's arm, his own body trembling from shock and exhaustion. Jesse was rushed to the hospital, where surgeons performed a 12-hour operation to reattach his arm. It was a long, grueling process, but they were able to save it. The doctors later said that without Frank's quick thinking and sheer bravery, there wouldn't have been anything left to save. In the weeks that followed, Frank was hailed as a hero, but the ordeal had taken its toll. The nightmares of that day would haunt him for the rest of his life. The image of the shark, the blood in the water, and Jesse's tiny arm floating like a ghostly reminder of how close they had come to losing everything. Jesse eventually made a miraculous recovery, regaining partial use of his arm. The scars, both physical and emotional, would remain, but they were a testament to his uncle's bravery and the unbreakable bond they shared. The attack in 2001 became one of the most talked about shark encounters in history, not just for the sheer terror of it, but for the remarkable story of survival and the relentless determination of a man who fought a shark with his bare hands to save his nephew's life. What would you have done in this man's situation? Could you face a shark to save someone you love? We'd love to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. If this story gave you chills, make sure to like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss more thrilling tales like this. Your support helps us bring you even more spine-tingling content.